I now call Neil Bibby to be followed by Jim Eadie.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. There is no doubt Scotland is a nation with a proud history when it comes to science, as many members have highlighted. Scots have been at the forefront of some of the science's greatest achievements, from James Watt to John Lockie Baird to the creation of Dolly the sheep at the Rosalind Institute in Edinburgh. I don't doubt the importance of science for a second, and making it accessible to people of all ages as possible is a goal, of course, I support. But similar to what Hugh Henry said earlier, I would question the lack of details from the Government on the specific changes that it proposes today that will make the positive difference to the science sector that we seek. I put on record my acknowledgement of this the importance of science and engaging people with it during the debate in December last year on the role of scientific evidence and advice in public policy. During that debate, I also highlighted some of the challenges and obstacles facing the science sector. I think it's important to recognise those challenges and obstacles again this afternoon. As many members have highlighted, there is a need to address the lack of women graduates in STEM subjects working in the field in which they graduated. While the increase in the number of female graduates in STEM subjects is welcome, the reality is that women are underrepresented at every level of STEM education and careers. For women in science, the glass ceiling still exists. In their report, tapping... Yes, sure.
Claire Adamson.
I hear, and obviously the Royal Society's tapping all our talents would concur with the point the member's making, but do you not also agree that there's some great work being done in Scotland, including Girl Geek Scotland, which is a network of women involved in computing, run from Edinburgh University, that encourages and supports women at all stages of their career, including young women starting out in careers in computing?
Neil Bibby.
I hadn't actually heard of Girl Geeks, but I'll certainly look into that. And it's, clearly more needs to be done in terms of encouraging women to take up their chosen career path. And as I was saying, the report by the Royal Society of Edinburgh stated that in universities, women are lost at every level of the academic career structure. They also continue to be underrepresented in top posts. And the report highlighted the loss of qualified female scientists to both the public and private sector in Scotland. This represents not only a loss of individual opportunity, Presiding Officer, but a cost to the Scottish economy as well. And I want to repeat a quote from the report that I read to the Chamber last year. Scotland fails to realise the potential of its research base and will continue to do so if it systematically fails to cope with the debilitating loss of talent represented by the high attrition rate of highly trained women from employment. I think these words are key in outlining the challenge that we face. It is very concerning to hear that 73% of female graduates are lost from STEM careers. This is in comparison to under half of male graduates. We therefore absolutely do need to ask why this is and examine the reasons that female graduates are discouraged from pursuing a career in their field of study. In terms of encouraging people to engage with science, it is clear that involvement and activity from a young age is key. We know that people are more likely to consider studying and pursuing careers in STEM subjects if they have engaged with science from a young age, and I know a number of people have made that point. Equally important is ensuring that pupils from schools in disadvantaged areas have the same opportunities to engage with science and scientists as those from more advantaged areas. We need to encourage young people from all backgrounds to develop and pursue interests in science subjects and potential careers as engineers and scientists. As many members have pointed out, our colleges and universities play a key role when it comes to science and public engagement. The Universities Scotland briefing for this debate, which members will have received, states that every one of Scotland's 19 universities and higher education institutions is committed to public engagement of universities' scientific research. Research carried out at universities is a fantastic resource which has the potential to benefit a wide range of people. The challenge they face is communicating how directly relevant their research is to people's lives. I know that in my own area, the School of Science at the University of West of Scotland is active in applied research in a wide variety of areas, and I know George Adam mentioned that in detail. It would be, of course, remiss of us not to acknowledge that the University of West of Scotland received £3 million in research grants from the UK Research Council, the European Commission and UK charities. I do obviously believe that Scotland does benefit greatly from being part of the United Kingdom, and one of the reasons behind that is the research funding that we do get from the UK Research Funding Council. Scotland has an 8% share of population of the UK, but receives 15% of UK research funding, and I think it's important to put that on the record. Yes, certainly.
Fiona MacLeod.
I mean, funding for science is international, so the figures you give are all very well, but are you saying that post-independence we'll lose all the funding we get from across the European Union, we'll lose all the funding we get from American companies, etc.?
Neil Bibby.
Are you saying that we're going to continue to get 15% of UK Research Funding Council money?
Could members speak through the chair, please, not directly to each other? Many thanks.
I think that is the detail that we are looking for from the Scottish Government. It's also important that... Yes, certainly.
Minister.
I thank the members for giving way. On that particular point, will he also acknowledge, given the figures he's just given, that science research funding is awarded on the basis of excellence? Scotland outperforms in excellence. That's why we get more money. Neil
Bibby.
Absolutely, it's excellence in the UK. And I know I did ask for the Scottish Government to give a commitment that Scotland will maintain 15% or the equivalent value of UK research funding. We didn't get that reassurance. It's also important that we support the role of universities play in working with schools and directly with young people and their parents to stimulate an interest in science and technology from a young age and to keep young people engaged as they make their subject choices at school. We know that evidence suggests that we do not have enough scientists and engineers coming through to meet demand, so we must do all we can to encourage more STEM students. I welcome the role that the Scottish Science Festivals play in engaging young people with science. I know a number of young people from across the west of Scotland have attended the Glasgow Science Festival, which does an excellent job in offering events for adults, families and schools. I would of course welcome more of these types of events taking place in the west of Scotland. Presiding Officer, I would like to reiterate my acknowledgement of the importance of science and my support for making it as accessible as possible to the people of all ages. There are challenges in the science sector that need to be addressed, and as I and my Labour colleagues have highlighted, I would urge the Minister to listen to what has been said this afternoon and act to address the concerns that have been raised.